Previously on X Month.
How do you guys feel about the country right now?
Happy Americans. Hard not
This
to
is
like
shit.
Miles eat some chicken.
Oh, Gene, you're back. Yeah, let me give you a kiss.
Superman solos the X-Men.
Kiss of death.
Actually, Henry Cavill's coming back for Superman.
Just look at 50 Cent.
So, there's these aliens, alright?
Woo! Cuban Missile Crisis.
Someone should have been there and told them, like, nah, bro, this ain't it, man.
You know how The Last Dance sucked? Let's do that shit again.
Let's talk about the real films now, okay? The movies that are in line with this month. And the first one we're talking about is 2016 Deadpool.
Hey, yeah, I wanna shoot, baby.
Packed in your stack, especially in the back, brother. Wanna thank your mother for a butt like that. Yo, shotgun bang. What's up with that thing? I wanna know, how does it hang?
Dead.
Ryan Reynolds. Now,
Yes.
this has been a long time coming.
I'm touching
ever
myself
since the
tonight.
film came out. I'm touching myself right now. See this? There you go.
Hell yeah. Scratch it.
Scratchy. Deadpool. Man, this movie, it goes back a long time for us, man. This was our
It does.
first conversation on YouTube talking about this film. A whole big group seeing that film together in the theater.
Yeah.
What was your familiarity with Deadpool prior to this film?
I'm trying to think of the first time I was ever exposed to Deadpool. I think it might have been in that Hulk versus Wolverine animated movie.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that might have been my first introduction to Deadpool, but it was probably in some earlier media. I just can't think of it right now, but I remember wanting to see the Deadpool character during the time of Blade Trinity, and there was those murmurs going around that Ryan Reynolds would be perfect as Deadpool because he basically plays a mercenary vampire slayer in Blade Trinity. And so when that idea came up, I was like, oh yeah, he's the guy. He's the guy for Deadpool.
Yeah.
He is the merc with the mouth. I can already see it. Even if he has no idea who the character is or he's not familiar with the comics at all, that's him. That's literally Deadpool.
Yeah.
And so he was just one of those rare occasions where an actor was born to play a role. And sure enough, after we saw that test footage and we all wanted it, we all wanted that movie to be greenlit. You know, Ryan has been marketing himself as Deadpool for such a long time in such a genius way. He killed that role. And I just remember all of us having a blast watching that movie. It was so funny. It's such a perfect portrayal of the character. I love the low budget because then they were able to focus on the character. They were able to focus on a good, effective story for us to go from the beginning to end. I love the relationship that he has with his girlfriend. The inclusion of Colossus and the other X-Men characters. It's just a fantastic comic book movie, rated R, breaking records. Reynolds killed it, man. That suit is so beautiful. I love Deadpool. I love the first Deadpool.
Oh man, a big contributing factor to what makes that movie work so well is the director, Tim Miller, who worked primarily on video game, trailers. His most famous work is probably the trailer for DC Universe Online, where it's like set after the big battle with all the heroes and villains. Superman comes in, he's looking at the sun, and he comes in to fight Lex Luthor saving, and he fights Black Adam, and you see Green Lantern there, and Batman's all armored up. So that what works in that trailer is emblematic of what works in this first film, I think, is that they take these extravagant characters and bring them down to such a grounded, real level. And his time working on that, in Blur Studios, I think that's his company actually, Blur Studios. That was just all the prep time he needed for something like Deadpool, which really did change everything in terms of this genre, in terms of this medium. We wouldn't have things like The Boys. We wouldn't have Invincible. We wouldn't have Logan, especially without Deadpool.
What if I told you we can make you better? You're a fighter. We can give you abilities most men only dream of. Make you a superhero.
You just promise you'll do right by me, so I can do right by someone else.
And please don't make the super suit green or animated.
I think that is a lot of that is due to, the love and the patience of Ryan Reynolds, but also the practical direction from Tim Miller.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Tim Miller, I think, was just as much of a star as Ryan Reynolds of that movie. I felt like they kind of did him dirty by sidelining him for Deadpool 2. I feel like that's kind of why Deadpool 2 diminishes, I think, in quality just a little bit for me. That first one really is pretty special. And, speaking of Tim Miller doing that DC Animated Universe trailer, how they haven't contacted him to help with the DC Cinematic Universe is beyond me, because my boy knows how to direct and he understands those characters, both Marvel and DC.
That's such a great point. I can't believe how is he not the first pick for Batman in the DCU?
It's ridiculous.
Honestly,
it's ridiculous.
Get him because that's a dude who obviously cares, man. He loves the characters, cares about the practicality. I really love the way in the first Deadpool film they're not holding back in terms of the self-deprecation. They're making all these jokes about Ryan Reynolds. They're making jokes about Deadpool's first cinematic appearance in X-Men Origins Wolverine, and they're winning the audience over constantly through the film. Upon my most recent rewatch for these podcasts, I feel weird about this, but I watched it with my mom, actually, which I never thought I would ever do. But, Ryan Reynolds is Canadian, and that's us. So it goes a long way. I mean, even his charm when he's not doing all the gross vulgarity gore stuff, him making a joke like farting and then saying #drive-by even makes her laugh. You know what I mean? So it's crazy how this character is kind of can appeal to all sorts of demographics, and when you would imagine it would only appeal to a niche audience.
Yeah, and I also love how they even have a quick joke on Hugh Jackman with his face over Deadpool for a second. Beautifully sets up the future re-collaboration between him and Hugh for Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Like, obviously, I've been saying this recently, that I think Ryan Reynolds is one of the best producers for film, like, ever, of all time. Do you agree with that? What do you think of that statement?
Yeah, I think it's accurate. I think he's not only just one of the best producers, but also one of the best marketers of all time. Anything that Ryan has done, he excels in. It could be commercials. It can be for Mint Mobile. It could be for his aviation gin company. Whatever
his
it
team,
is.
His football team.
Yeah, he knows how to market himself brilliantly, actually, and that's why his finances right now are like out of this world.
They got to be. I mean, he got to help me out with some of these bills, man. He has more money than a nation, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, look at the way they're marketing Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that movie's gonna break records for sure, man. This year,
I'd be surprised
unbelievable.
if it didn't break 1 billion. The marketing has been off the chain.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the character of Wade Wilson. Wade Wilson is obviously someone who is a mercenary we see him kind of toned down as opposed to his comic version. His comic version, especially at the very beginning, was more of an antagonist, more of a straight up bad guy who was
Yeah.
softened throughout time. But here, they try to make him a bit more relatable, a bit more likable, which I'm fine with. I'm totally cool with.
Right.
But what do you think of this type of character to follow for this film?
I think he's just a character that is entertaining, and whether you don't agree with the way he behaves or how he talks, he's just somebody that you can't keep your eyes off of, and it's just fun to follow someone along that journey. And as long as you have some other characters that are kind of reasonable, like Colossus and stuff like that, he's like the perfect foil for them. So it works, and clearly this character has a hold over the audience that I think is just fun to follow, to see what he does. You don't know what's going to come out of his mouth. You don't know what he's going to do next. And it's kind of exciting. It's very similar to like how Homelander has a hold on the audience. He's a straight up villain, diabolical psychopath, maniac. But here we have somebody that's kind of on the more comedic relief side of the spectrum that we're also just following along because it's entertaining.
Yeah, and I was always curious about how the breaking of the fourth wall would translate in the film. And it's pretty fun whenever he does it. I'm not taken out. I'm listening, I'm there and everything, and I'm enjoying what he's saying. And it's a cool little addition to the character. It's always been, really fun and everything. But here it's pretty unique, especially since he's also narrating his story, his origin, which was released during, I think, Valentine's Day weekend. And it is a love story, where it's about him reuniting with his girlfriend. How do you feel how do you feel the heart of the film is juxtaposed with the kind of the violence and crudeness of it?
Well, I like it. I also thought it was part of the genius of the marketing, because they knew that if they planted it for Valentine's Day, it would get people talking about what the heck, Deadpool releasing on Valentine's Day. It would also double the ticket sales because couples are going to go and watch it. Very smart, very smart. It's like a funny gag. It's a gag that Deadpool would be released on Valentine's Day, But it also helps that you have somebody like Ryan Reynolds playing the character, because he is just so damn likable and funny and snarky and charismatic and just all in one,
Yeah, he's like the complete package. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
fucking hate him.
Wait! You may be wondering why the red suit. Well, that's so bad guys can't see me bleed. This guy's got the right idea. He wore the brown pants. Cue the music.
Oh my god. Well, speaking of like the X-Men factor into this, obviously they have I was about to call Colossus, not Cyclops. They have Colossus up in here and it's obviously a new version of Colossus where he is actually Russian. He's completely CGI dude. Negasonic Teenage Warhead is up in there, and they kind of introduce him as like the anchor of Wade's morality.
Yeah.
And that dynamic is always really fun to watch, where he's like the straight man to Deadpool's crazy dude. And it seems like in this new film they're replacing that dynamic from Colossus to Wolverine. So how do you feel about that?
I mean, I love it. I've always wanted to see them together. We saw that dynamic before Colossus in X-Men Origins. Wolverine, whatever complaints you have for that movie, the scenes between Hugh, Wolverine, and Wade Wilson was dynamite. So to get a whole movie of that, just them in the MCU, in the Void, the multiverse, with the TVA, Loki elements, it's the whole package and more. With Wolverine. You know what I mean? So No complaints from me. I waited for a movie like that my entire life.
Wait, is that you?
They finally got
did
up.
Stryker finally found a way to shut you up.
Yo, that's hilarious.
It's so sad. You ever shut up, pal? How did you feel about the origin? Because they obviously have to redo the origin of Wade Wilson. And this movie is actually perfectly timed since it came out after Days of Future Past when the timeline was kind of switched. And they do show in that film clips from Origins Wolverine. How do you feel about like the way they redid the origin up in here?
I thought they did a good job, you know. I felt like it was smart for them to give us a heart between the relationships and stuff like that and him getting mutilated. Um yeah, I loved it. I love the story. I love that they were able to um again centered around that relationship while also staying true to the character of being blasphemous and kind of repulsing. And yeah, it was a perfect Deadpool movie for what they went for sure.
Yeah. I love how separate it feels from everything else. You know,
Yeah.
in the first when they're getting into the origin of him being like a mercenary and meeting Vanessa and then getting into this program when he gets cancer. I like how it does feel like it can be its own world, you know. And then when the X-Men stuff comes in, it's like a nice cherry on top, you know. It's like, oh, I want to see this character meet the rest of the X-Men, you know? It's like the early days of the MCU with things like Iron Man and Thor and Cap, you know?
Yeah, he becomes Marvel Jesus.
He's Marvel Jesus. Who would have thought, man? I mean, dude, I love that. I love that line. What's your favorite joke in the film?
I think it might be I'm touching myself tonight.
Because it hits so close to home.
No, honestly, the thing that always cracks me up is when he throws I think it was like the top of a trash can or something like that. He hits Ed Screen's character when Ed Screen's like knocked out. That always kills me. He throws it like a frisbee.
Yeah, I think it's like the hubcap of a tire or something.
Yeah.
Throws it at his
random.
head.
Yeah.
Dude, I love the in that same scene when he's like cutting off his wrist, his hand. It's like, ever see 147 hours?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Oh my god. Well, that movie is pretty that movie's a godsend. Easily. It's necessary. I'm grateful for it existing, and it's led us to the point where where we're going to have Deadpool entering the Marvel universe and everything.
The only thing you can't do came off the plate. Stay out.
I am very turned on right now.
Give it to you. He gon' give it to you.
Now, before we talk about Logan and Deadpool 2, I want to know your reaction when you did find out that Deadpool not only was entering the Marvel universe, but when Ryan Reynolds announced that Hugh Jackman was coming back.
Oh man, I mean, I felt like we all lost our minds. It was that same feeling of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man No Way Home again. You know, I never thought that they'd be able to match that kind of anticipation again, but after seeing Logan, we were all fine because Logan is a masterpiece. But to hear that they were bringing back Hugh Jackman, it's like, okay, they're bringing him back, and it's got to be for a reason. It's got to be to see him in the MCU, to see him hopefully with the Avengers. It's the best case scenario, and even better with the cherry on top, to see him with the yellow costume. And that's exactly what we're getting. It's again the MCU reminding us that they're giving us great stories, and they're serving dessert for their fans.
It is the best case scenario. Earlier in the podcast, I talked about what if they ended it at Days of Future Past and gave the rights back to Marvel. This is the best case scenario because I'm personally hoping, and I have a feeling it will be, Deadpool and Wolverine will be the No Way Home of the X-Men franchise. If they can get Hugh Jackman to come back, I don't see why they can't get most of the original cast back. I mean, who wouldn't want to be in that film? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, and I just can't wait.
Yeah, same here. I think it's going to be a night to remember. And honestly, I feel like we're going to lose our voices once we see that mask go on Hugh Jackman.
Oh, we will. We will. For sure we will. Come on. All right, man. Well, Angel, I'm going to let you go. And do you have anything last to say about the X-Men franchise?
Honestly, the X-Men characters are actually some of the first characters that we connected to as friends. So I've just been really appreciative of all these years of experiencing the movies, whether they've been good or bad. And yeah, man, love the X-Men. Again, this is just the beginning for them in the MCU.
God has returned somehow. Daniel, you picked a perfect time because Angel is about to sign off.
Oh shoot! All right, I get it. How it is.
God, your son Anakin Skywalker.
Hell yeah.
Off.
Okay. All right. You say, wait, Anakin, then you hate the Acolyte then.
Yeah, this was great. Thank you so much, Angel, for joining.
Of
It was
course,
a great
man.
conversation.
Of course. Thanks for having me, bro. Always. Daniel, it was good talking to you, bro. It was good seeing you guys, man.
Yeah, I'll see you soon. When is Deadpool Wolverine again? What date?
July 25th, I believe. It's on the Thursday of that week. So.
Oh, it's July. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see you guys then. I'll remind you guys again, and we're all gonna see it at the Chinese. So, yes, Ersky.
All right.
All right. See you, man.
All right. See you guys.
All right.
Have a good night.
We got ourselves an X-Men fan. Maybe a quarter of it happened, and not like this.
All right, now that he's gone, we're going to talk about the last two films on our list here. We are going to talk now. Now that you missed, the films like The Rest of Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix, New Mutants, we can talk about some of the best films in the slate.
Why not?
The first one we're going to talk about is Logan. Right? Let me give me clause. This right here, man.
Let's go.
Logan was a movie that could only have happened because of the success of Deadpool. Logan is obviously a movie that is rated R, stars Hugh Jackman in his what we thought was final role as Wolverine, or final performance as Wolverine. And it was about the character's end, pretty much the end of his journey, we had followed with for over a decade at that point.
Right.
So, Daniel, when you heard that Logan was going to come out and it was going to be rated R, it was going to be the last Hugh Jackman Wolverine story, what were you thinking?
I had high expectations. I was so amped. I was amped beyond belief, but it exceeded that. And that's crazy because I already went in with like really high expectations. Like, wait, Logan rated R? Finally? No, this is gonna be wild. I was like, there's no way. This is gonna be insane. And no, it was more than insane. It was so great. That's a good movie. I give that like a 10 out of 10. It was mind blowing. I get goosebumps even just like thinking about it. It's so crazy cool. I love that movie. It's great. And then the black and white version that came out too. That was a whole nother trip too. But that movie was it was an experience, it was an experience. Yeah. And I was so happy. And I agree. I think it only happened because Deadpool, made the big bucks, Didn't it hit $1 billion? I think Deadpool hit $1 billion.
Yeah. It's the first R-rated comic book film to reach that height.
That's why I think that.
Yeah.
because it did that, then they were like, hey, we can literally print money. We just got to get the right character. And who's more right than Hugh Jackman as Wolverine? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of the appearances of Wolverine, even in some of the better films, seeing him do his thing, it was kind of the film equivalent to him in the original X-Men cartoon, where he would, he'd unsheath the claws for a fight scene, and then he'd put them away and then just start punching people. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
a lot of the times in the movies when he's fighting people, he's stabbing and eviscerating folk, but there's barely any blood. He's not
Right.
cursing. He's not chomping on the cigar like we want him to and everything. In this movie, which is sad, I mean, it's beautiful, but a little sad that it's his last film where they really got the character
Yeah.
right. You know what I mean? Like Hugh Jackman was always great in the role, and the character I thought was always great. But in that film, he was perfect.
Yeah, he was perfect. He was perfect. It was crazy. And then it was just such a cool way where, like, we obviously couldn't do like Old Man Logan, verbatim. That wasn't gonna work, but I just love how they
possible.
It wasn't possible. It's literally impossible. You can't do it. But so I wasn't expecting that, but they took elements of that and then they made this like really dope down to like very isolated. You know what I mean? It's not super big world building stakes. You know what I mean? It's not the end of existence if he doesn't succeed. I like that. It's very man with no name. It's like a neo-Western. You know what I mean? And I love Westerns just in general, but when they did this like Logan kind of like neo-Western and I really I didn't know I did, but it seems like I really like the neo-Western genre, because if we look at like Hell or High Water, Wind River, what's another one? Even No Country for Old Men or whatever.
Oh yeah, No Country for Old Men. Yeah.
Yeah. These are all like neo-Westerns. They're like Western, but they're not set in the spaghetti Western time. You know what I mean?
Or The Mandalorian. You can count that.
Mandalorian. There we go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's another example. Yeah. They really got it down. And then Logan in that role. Oh my goodness. That was sick. And then Professor X in it was cool. Like that was so cool. And again, that ties into like kind of what I was saying earlier about, Logan being Marty and Doc being Professor X, because even in the through line, even for Wolverine's last dance, it's him and Professor X. You know what I mean? Like those are the mutants that made it. They're the ones that made it. So
oh man, that's really that's beautiful, man, because
it is.
Those two start their respective journeys and are kind of the foundation of the X-Men in this series. Both in, obviously Hugh Jackman starts in the first X-Men film, and the character of Professor X also starts in that film. But if you go even further, you could look at First Class. Like there's even more history now with the character, right? Like, because you see the very foundation of the X-Men back then in the 60s when he's a young man to this film where it's at the end of his life, I love what you said about it being grounded and really separate. I mean, obviously you can't really appreciate this film without having watched all the other films beforehand, but it is isolated enough to where if you only watched a few of the movies with Wolverine, with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, you'd still feel it,
Right.
Go get him. No.
X-23. I mean, Daphne Keane was so good. She was so good in it. That was amazing. That was really cool. She has a really dope fight scene in The Acolyte. She's actually pretty good in that.
Yeah, that's right.
I was actually surprised, and because I'm not the biggest fan of the show, but I'm also I'm not gonna like if it's bad to me, it's bad to me. But if it's good to me, I'm just gonna say it's good. You know what I mean? And so like the fight scene with her, although it did confuse me that a Padme, like a Padawan, was doing so well against this like really powerful Sith. I don't care. That's not what I'm. The writing is separate from what I'm saying. Her fight scene was really good, and it's starting to seem that she just has a way around fight scenes.
Yeah,
And
she's really good at like choreography and everything.
that's what I'm saying. So it's like, wait, you've been this good since you were a kid, and here you are in this show where the writing can be even so poor, but when it comes to the fighting, you can move. Like you know how to move, you know how to do these fight scenes. I don't know. I really like her in these like action roles. You know, I'd like to see her in more stuff. You know.
Yeah,
So
I love the implementation of her character. It's very fitting for
Yeah.
this story. You know,
Right.
like when we're first introduced to Wolverine, he has kind of a surrogate daughter in Rogue, and
Mhm.
in The Wolverine, that's the same case with is it Yuriko?
Yeah,
The
Yuri. Mhm.
Yuriko,
Yeah.
where he's kind of looking out for them and everything. And here it's his literal biological daughter who he has to
Yeah.
kind of learn to appreciate. And that
Yeah.
whole idea of family passing Logan by and him never appreciating it, you know,
Yeah.
he never appreciated it with the X-Men.
He
And
did.
now in his last moments, he can really, you know, he learns what it means, what it feels
Right.
like,
Right.
you know?
That's why I'm curious with this Wolverine Deadpool thing. I'm like, where are they gonna go with what is this? Like I know it's like alternate Wolverine or whatever, but it's still very interesting to see, you know, where they take this. You know, like what route do they
Yeah.
go? You know? And I
Yeah.
think it's very clever because like one of my favorite runs is Cable and Deadpool.
Yeah.
And I think it was like 80 issues or maybe more, but it's a lot of issues, but I love that run. It's just fun because I love Cable, I love Deadpool, and their dynamic together was great. And then yes, I know Cable came in Deadpool 2 or whatever, but it almost seems like even the title Wolverine and Deadpool is like a nod to like
Yeah.
Cable and Deadpool the book,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And so, but obviously Cable's known to comic fans, so you can do Cable and Deadpool, but if you're trying to bring the Cable and Deadpool kind of vibe to the big screen, who's the character you would use? You would use Deadpool and Wolverine, the best characters created in that universe. You know what I mean? So
That's such a good point. Because it feels like if Hugh Jackman didn't come back, it would have been called Cable and Deadpool.
right. That's what I'm saying.
Like they
It's like
just would have
yeah,
brought Josh Brolin back.
they would have. Yeah, exactly. Like why not? Why not? Like it would
Yeah.
make sense to do that, you know? And so I just love that it's Hugh Jackman though. I love that it's
Yeah.
Wolverine because of Logan, because of the Wolverine, because of all the X-Men movies. Because Hugh Jackman is so dope. Like he's just so
Yeah.
dope. He's so dope as Wolverine is so cool. I never doubted, you know, like there's those doubters at first, you know, like, oh, this is it gonna be, he's not short, you know, like how's it gonna
Yeah.
I was like, nah, this fool's gonna kill it, dude. He's gonna kill it. It just kind of exceeded my expectations, right? And then same thing with Logan, right? We get to Logan and you know, it's hard to stick the landing. It's hard to stick the landing with a last movie. It really is, you know? And to stick the landing that well is crazy to me. It's wild to
It's
me.
kind of unheard of. Like
It's unheard of. Yeah.
long running characters that take breaks and then come back, like, and have had rocky histories in their franchises. Like it's Logan is kind of like a miracle that it was
Yeah.
made at all, you know, because if we look at the franchise itself, Logan is in the same franchise as X-Men Origins Wolverine, you know, two
Yeah. It's true.
completely opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes
Yeah.
to not only comic book films, but just films in general, you know, but they're about the same character. You know, it's like looking at Joel Schumacher versus Christopher Nolan. You
Right.
know, it's very bizarre.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that's just a testament to Hugh Jackman because even in Wolverine Origins, we still loved Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Like we even if we were like, man, this is the worst movie ever, but Hugh Jackman's dope, huh? He's dope. You know, we're just like, yeah, it's just he's dope, dude. He's dope. He hits it. He hits it every time. Even when wrapped inside of a really bad movie, we were always enjoyed watching Wolverine on the big screen. It did not matter, you know. That's why I think the Wolverine. I like the Wolverine a little bit better than I should because I'm biased. First off, Wolverine's one of my favorite.
I like the Wolverine.
Yeah, it's not bad, right? And he's my favorite X-Men for sure. Is Wolverine, hands down. Like and he's one of my favorite Marvel characters. And what's cool is Deadpool is one of my favorite mutants too. So he's up there in like my top 10 Marvel characters for sure. My favorite Silver Surfer, but you know, Wolverine is like right under him. And then, you know, Deadpool's right up there, like top 5. I think I like Deadpool a lot too. I used to read a lot of Deadpool too, so it was cool. It was cool when they brought him to life the first time, and I was like, oh my goodness. But yeah, the Logan, I've been waiting for Logan because again, when we got X-Men movies, and then yes, we got Wolverine Origins and we got the Wolverine, but I don't know, like we never got that R-rated, you know, we never got that like that feral, like we knew the dopeness that Hugh Jackman is. Like we knew it the whole time, but we never got the like, hey guys, like take off the training wheels off. Like just let him go nuts down the mountain. Let him do it. Yeah. And we hadn't had a movie like that yet, really. You know what I mean? And we had moments and glimpses of that, but we never had a full movie that's just Wolverine, where it's like he's going to be slicing and dicing through everyone in the movie. It's going to be bloody, it's going to be gritty, it's going to be like whatever it is. And I didn't really care what it was. I just knew I wanted that for the character at some point. You know what I mean? Even if we didn't get it then, I would have still been wanting it. You know, I still would have craved a R-rated Wolverine at some point. You know what I mean? Like at some point down the line, even if it's not Hugh Jackman, but we need an R-rated Wolverine. What the heck is wrong with us? Yeah. You know what I mean? How are we not?
It was essential, you know, at some point it had to happen. And not just because, you know, we want to see Wolverine chop people up, blood and everything. Right. It's because we want a movie that has a story that warrants that kind of violence, and it commentates on it, you know, like in this movie, it's about Wolverine at the end of his life, pretty much. He's dealing with his mortality in a way that he had never before. And in some ways he's dealing with kind of what he's made through violence in his life. You know what I mean? Like he's been experimented on, he's killed endless amounts of people, and he's losing it. You know, he's all he wants in the film is to get away from all of that. You know, because mutants are nearly extinct at this point. He wants to just go off into the ocean with Charles and just like die. You know what I mean? In peace. Yeah. You know, and obviously because he's who he is, it's just not an option for him, and he's on the run. And now he has to take care of this kid of his, you know, that he didn't know he had. You know, it's really. Yeah, it's really layered for a character that had a movie called X-Men Origins Wolverine previously, you know?
That's what I'm saying. It's layered in a lot of different ways, like fatherhood, you know, responsibility, dealing with your past, you know, not knowing what your future's like, not having much of a future really, you know, violence, you know, all this stuff. It was so cool to watch. It was really cool. It definitely gave me goosebumps several times. Like I had goosebumps watching that movie several times. Definitely at the end. I think that's one of the most meaningful deaths ever. It was so crazy. Like in cinema, obviously, but that was really crazy. And then they do it down to a T, right? They really push it. It's not like 15 minutes before. It's not 5 minutes before. It's literally at his death where it's like, oh shit, like I cared about something for a second. And like, dude, like dang, and then you die, and then it's like, when you get it. right when you get it, you die. Such a tragic. It's like, man, it's so tragic, but like satisfying at the same time. It's the weirdest feeling ever. It's so weird. It's like really odd.
I am not whatever it is you think I am.
She needs our help.
Someone will come along.
Someone has come along.
I hope with something like like with what we're making, like something like that, that's, I mean, obviously not just us, but anyone making a film,
Yeah.
right?
But specifically us in this
Yeah,
situation.
specifically us. But it's just funny. Like if I just wanted to poop out a film, like why wouldn't I want to poop out a film that's in the likeness of Logan, which is one of the greatest movies of all time. But it's specific to us that we're making a character that's kind of like that or whatever. But
Similar-ish.
Similar. But man, if we can hit even like half of that, you know what I mean? Like, or not even, like it's just like a fraction of it. But I would be so satisfied. But it's like, that's the kind of character I've loved. I mean, one of my first characters that I ever loved was the Man with No Name, Mongo. I thought Blondie or whatever people wanted to call him. He's one of my favorite movie characters, if not my favorite movie character of all time. And I think they kind of capture that in Logan, you know what I mean? They capture the man with no name aura, where he's, doesn't really care about anything. But then, you know what I mean? Like he's just going through it, just trying to survive, rides off into the sunset at the end, you don't know if he lives or dies or what's going to happen next. Like, I don't know. I like that.
Well, they bring up the Western kind of inspiration behind this film in the film when they show a scene from Shane, and it's where the main character has this monologue about what it means to be a man, and in that monologue is repeated later on by Laura X-23 at Wolverine's funeral. It's that monologue, and I think that's just the beautiful allegory of the character, because we as comic fans know Wolverine to be a samurai. They never really emphasize that in the movies. In this movie, they define him as a cowboy, which I really love, and that's so appropriate with the character, considering that it is a Western. It's dealing with those types of enemies and that type of dynamic between him and the little girl and the violence. And his last berserker rage when he's going in the woods and everything, it reminded me, I don't know about you, but it reminded me of True Grit at the end with John Wayne, where he's like, he's like, feel your hands, you son of a bitch. Like, it reminded me of that type of shootout, Butch
like
Cassidy Sundance Kid. Yeah,
like a last stand, like I'm gonna go out, but I'm gonna take out as many as I can with me, like that kind of thing. And it's funny that you say that you bring up the samurai thing, and it's true. The comic book fans know Wolverine's been a samurai. He's been so many things. He's like Conan, Conan the pirate, Conan the barbarian, Conan the conqueror. Logan is basically like that because he's lived for so long, right? But we all know that Japan is very near and dear in his heart, and he's a samurai. Like, he has his own weird code, but it's there, but it's funny that you say that, because the old spaghetti westerns were copies of the Kurosawa films, like Yojimbo and all those films, and that's where we got like Fistful of Dollars, Fistful of Dollars for a few dollars more, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And these are all like in the likeness of Kurosawa, but they're American
Magnificent
made.
Seven.
We obviously don't know how to make a samurai movie. So then how do we liken that? So if we copy a story, we're like, man, that's really cool, but I don't know how to make a samurai movie, but I definitely want that story. I want that character. How do I do this? Oh, well, why don't we make him a cowboy? Oh, okay, yeah. And so then we make him a cowboy, and then we got our spaghetti westerns, right? And I think it only makes sense even more that they made it like a cowboy, like that kind of aura, that kind of like Western aura, because he is a samurai. if that makes any sense. But that's like, I think it's because we know he's a samurai that it would translate so well into like a Western type character, you know, because it's worked before, you know. So
oh man,
it's cool.
You're just making me want to see a Hugh Jackman Wolverine movie where it's in the 80s and he's in Japan, dude. I mean, what the hell? That's the movie that's what X-Men Origins should have been. That is what it should have been.
That's what it should have been, or even the Wolverine, right? But that's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I mean about like we hadn't got it. We didn't get it. We thought we got it with the Wolverine, but man, even when I saw the Wolverine, I was like, yeah, this is good. This is good. But that's how I walked out of that. And I didn't want that. Like I still was craving a Wolverine movie that I was gonna walk out of like mind blown, you know, like I needed that, and I knew they could do it. It's just, it was almost angering and upsetting that they hadn't done it yet. And when they did it with Logan, I had a feeling, I was like, no, this is gonna be it, dude. We've done the mistakes, and not even the mistakes, but we've had enough go at it, you know what I mean? Like we had enough chances where now we know, okay, that's good, that's great. Even in some parts it's great, but why don't we take the best parts and just make a whole movie of like Wolverine being Wolverine, and like the real Wolverine, like where the true fans leave and they go, that's comic Wolverine. And obviously not comic book accurate, but like in terms of essence, right? Like that was Wolverine. That was Wolverine for sure, you know?
What you're saying with the whole mind-blowing Wolverine movie and everything, Logan was that for me, where it's like, wow, you took this character and you elevated it and everything. So like what now could they do with a movie about Wolverine to top that? And the only way they could do that, okay, this is for me, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna say it's for you also, okay, is if it was called Hulk versus Wolverine.
Oh my goodness.
That is the only way.
They can do it. That's possible. We can have a live action Hulk versus Wolverine. We can have a live action. And does it even have to, why don't they even like, you know, obviously I don't know how Hugh Jackman will feel about this, but why not? Like, you know, they're pumping out all this crap, like crap, right? Just pumping it out. Like they're just like a depository for like just crap, right? Especially lately. And like, dude, if you're gonna do crap, why not just do, you know, they have like Werewolf by Night and the holiday special for Guardians of the Galaxy. Why not have like a special like that that's just 45 minutes to an hour, and it's Hulk versus Wolverine, and it's just them meeting in the Canadian wilderness.
That would be perfect.
And they just fight, and that's it. If you're gonna make crap, like make crap that we want to see. You know what I mean? Like make crap. Like I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying about, you know, older comic book movie fans. Dude, we didn't have the privilege of an MCU, so we had to like what was out, because that's what was out. Dolph Lundgren Punisher was the only Punisher. So then we had to learn to enjoy these things, you know what I mean? And so, and I'm appreciative that they took the shots. They took the shots, because then we got the Supermans, we got the Batmans in between there, right? Eventually we got the Blades going, you know, and then we got the MCU. But it only happened because we took the shots. That's what I'm trying to say about Wolverine Origins. It's bad. I'm not saying it's good, but we took the shot. You know, like they knew we wanted a Wolverine Origins movie. So then they made it. It was bad. So then they're like, okay, well, how do we capture that essence still? Like, how do we do it? Let's try again. And then they tried again with the Wolverine. And again, I like the Wolverine, but it's not the best movie ever. It's not. It's just all right, you know? And so again, it's like, oh man, okay, we kind of got it there, but not really. That's not really what it is. What are we missing? We need the grit. We need the true grit. We need the like samurai Logan, you know, on his way out. Stakes are high, but only to him, because that's what makes sense to that kind of character. You know what I mean? He's, you know, and yes, again, like you're saying, like, yeah, if because now I think they're trying to top it too. That's why they're throwing Deadpool into the mix, because Deadpool is Deadpool. He puts asses in the seats, right? And so just like Wolverine. So they're trying to top that, and it's like, how do you top it? Well, okay, we kept the stakes small last time with Logan. What do we do this time with Wolverine? Let's extend the stakes. Let's make it like world existing, universe existing. You know what I mean? Like, he's saving the universe now. Let's
the multiverse.
We did the whole, hey, he just cares about his kid,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited.
The fact that you brought up Dolph Lundgren's Punisher makes me appreciate that we have Logan at all. To think that it's taken as seriously as Logan was, and it's as revered as Logan was, to the point where Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are saying, we are not going to touch that. We're not going to mess with that for this new film. Like, they know. Like, when they announced that he was coming back, we were like, we're not messing with that. We know better than that. Thank you. Thank you for that.
I appreciate that too. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Because they could have made a Logan 2 and then like messed everything up. And it's like, no. Let's leave it.
Logan
let's leave
2.
It. Yeah, dude. No, dude. No.
He comes back.
No. He comes back. Like, okay, dude. No, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm glad they went this route. I'm glad, because we still get the Deadpool in there, and what a way to finish Deadpool off too. I don't.
Yeah.
Hugh
Could you
Jackman
imagine?
And Ryan Reynolds. Wow.
Oh my God. The post Logan is the same movie we got. It's the same exact movie, same hardcore level, same drama, same tears, same everything. But then the post-credit scene is of the gravesite, and then out of the dirt.
Oh,
Logan will come back in Logan 2.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad they didn't, though. I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah.
Because that was so heavy hitting. Because it was just like how I don't know. I just think they hit it right on the mark. Yeah, just don't touch it. Like you said, don't touch that. Don't touch it. Don't stop it. Don't do it. And I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they went a whole nother route. They changed the stakes completely. They changed the aura and everything. Like, they changed the style of the movie is different. It's just all it all makes sense. So,
Logan is a perfect film.
It's a perfect film. It's a 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah,
I think
for me too.
10 out of 10 film. Yeah. So, I give it, it's just like, it's one of the greatest comic book movies of all time, I would say.
And Ryan Reynolds said that recently. It's maybe one of the best comic book films of all time.
Whoa, he did?
Yeah.
Nice.
You should take a moment. Feel it. You still have time.
It is now time to wrap up the X discussion. There's your mutation.
Yes.
It's activating.
Right.
It is time to talk about the movie that will lead us in to Deadpool and Wolverine later on this week. It is Deadpool 2, Deadpool Dos, Deadpool Part 2, if you will.
What in the fuxicle is this?
My name's Cable. I'm here for the kid.
What? The kid?
Move or die.
This is a movie that is setting us up in many ways for the future of Deadpool and Wolverine in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's not the last Marvel Fox film. That was actually the New Mutants. But this one felt very much like a goodbye in the way that Days of Future Past did, but more vulgar, more gory, and more crass in many ways. This was obviously after Logan came out, and this was kind of capitalizing on it, especially in the opening scene of Deadpool 2. And here we see Deadpool, he's got his whole crew, he's got his kind of family, and he has Vanessa finally. He's kind of living that happily ever after. But then he loses it all in one night, and he's on the warpath, and he's kind of on a destiny on a journey to get killed. And at this point, Cable comes in because he's acting as the Terminator, trying to stave off a possible dark timeline of a future.
Right.
So, first of all, Daniel, regarding Deadpool 2, how did this compare to the first one for you?
I think it was up there. I like the first one better. So for me, the first one is just better. I think, I mean, even that car fight scene alone in the first one is just kind of ridiculous. And if you've seen the Raid movies, the Raid 1 and the Raid 2, you see in the Raid 2, there's a scene that's very similar to that Deadpool scene. And I love the Raid 2. It's like one of my favorite movies of all time. But Deadpool 2 is up there. It's like a contender. It's very good. Like when I came out of that, I was like, man, that was really good. I liked it a lot. So yeah, I'd probably give that one like a 8.5 out of 10, maybe, something like that. But yeah, I thought it was really fun. Again, I have the Cable and Deadpool run. I have the omnibus, and it's just a run that I've read it a bunch of times. So when Deadpool 2 came out and they announced like Brolin was going to be Cable, I was super stoked because I was like, man, are they going to take from this? And I kind of like that they didn't. I kind of like that how they made it where they took the essence of Cable of being like, trying to correct the timeline. That's just like a normal theme for Cable, trying to correct the timeline, trying to correct the timeline. He's always trying to correct the timeline, right? And I like how they took that aspect of him, and then but he's kind of like the villain to Deadpool. But I am bummed. I mean, hindsight's 2020, so I'm glad they didn't, because now we have Wolverine and Deadpool. But when I did come out of that, I was like, man, because I thought they were gonna turn it into a Cable Deadpool thing. Do you know what I mean? I thought that's what Deadpool 2 was at least gonna turn it. Like they were teasing it a certain way, but I thought once we got in the seats and we saw the movie, I was like, man, what if this turns into like a Cable Deadpool kind of thing? Like, how would it not? The contrast is so good, like it's gonna work. But I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they went with what they went, because now we're gonna get Wolverine and Deadpool. Deadpool 2 was still really funny, like you said, really gory. It checked all the boxes that I wanted for Deadpool. So Deadpool's still the superior movie to me. Logan is still the superior movie to me. But Deadpool 2 is up there. It's up there in the highest movies that that in my regard when it comes to the Fox Marvel movies, for sure. It's up there, top 5, top, definitely in the top. I don't know about top 5, but it's up there.
It's not one of the worst ones.
No, right. That's what
all.
I'm saying. Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the friendship aspect between Deadpool and Cable isn't really
captured.
You don't really see it until the end, right? Like until the final act is when they kind of save it. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Cable isn't really brought into the main plot until things are already moving, you know, because he's there playing Terminator and antagonist until they have to team up and everything. And, I understand that, which it makes sense what you're saying about that dynamic for a possible third film, because like it felt like a lot of it was set up. Like this movie was set up for that, right?
Right.
They're trying to lay the foundation for their relationship for future films, but that's really not the case. They're bringing in, because in the first movie it's Colossus, in this movie it's Cable, in this new one it's Wolverine, which is interesting.
Right, it is interesting, but I think that's why it works so well. But you're absolutely right. It's almost like they made it that way on purpose in case they didn't get a Wolverine or Hugh Jackman to return. they would go with a Brolin and do a Cable Deadpool movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I bet that's what they were kind of like having in mind. Like, hey, let's set this up just in case we want to go that route. We know we want to do a Deadpool and someone else. Let's try and get Wolverine, because how would that not make sense? Literally the highest rated superheroes in movie history. Like, let's put them together. Why not? You know? But if Hugh Jackman doesn't want to return because he said Logan was his last go, then let's go with Brolin, and it would make perfect sense still. You know what I mean?
I ain't letting Cable kill this kid. But I can't do this alone.
Can you speak up? It's hard to hear you with that pity dick in your mouth.
They wanted Brad Pitt for Cable. You know? How do you not have, you know, Brad Pitt? Like, if Brad Pitt is going to play Cable, he's going to be the co-lead in the next film.
How not? With Ryan? Of course he is.
Yeah.
Of course he is. Yeah, and it would have worked. They got Brolin instead. Didn't Brad Pitt make a Brad Pitt?
He made a cameo, yeah.
He
As a
invisible
guy or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Best cameo ever, man.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's freaking funny, dude. That's exactly.
What do you think of that scene? The X-Force scene. What do you think of that? Because I think that's like the best joke in the film, honestly.
Yeah, it's such a good joke. I mean, X-Force in general in Deadpool 2, it's just a joke. Like, it's such a joke, right?
Yeah.
Like, they have like Shatterstar dies.
Yeah,
in, like,
Shatterstar.
You know what I mean? Like, I like it because I didn't expect it, and it was hilarious. It was so funny. I would not mind having an actual X-Force that I can like look at and be like, dang, that's an X-Force. But I thought this was so funny and so clever, because it's like, of course we can get an X-Force that's akin to the X-Men, and then they kick a lot of butt. Sure, we can get that. What if you get this? You didn't expect this, that we were going to just throw these characters away and almost, it's so funny because in throwing them away, I'm not saying that they were useless. I'm saying the opposite. It's like, you think that it's going to be useless, but it hits you. It hits you in the humor department. Like, it's so funny that you're like, man, that was worth it. For the joke, it was worth it. You know?
Yeah.
For the joke, it was worth it.
It was worth it. It's the best joke in the film, because
it is.
You know,
it is.
like, I'm not expecting that, first of all.
Right,
I'm expecting them to kind of sell out and do the team up thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then they flip it, and they're like, nah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a good call. It's a good call, because then they would have just been another. It would not that it wouldn't have been dope. It just would have been something we've seen before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this way, it was like, we'd never seen. I don't know. I've never seen the anticipated characters thrown away just like that. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
I thought it was
like,
so funny.
It's like how the Suicide Squad should have been in the first film.
Right, but they made it in the second one, in the intro, in the Suicide Squad. You know, it's that same kind of deal. Like, they're doing the walk, and then they all die.
I'll just die in the most horrific ways you can imagine.
Funny, dude. It's so funny, man. James Gunn, dude, he gets it. It's funny. His Suicide Squad was obviously superior to the first Suicide Squad, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's because they made those choices. They made those bold choices. And I think that the guys writing the Deadpool movies are willing to make those bold choices, but not just for the sake of being bold. They're like, hey, if we're gonna do this, let's at least have the point. Oh, well, what point can we make with this? Even if the point is just being funny, as long as it has a point, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's try it. You know, let's trust in our audience.
Yeah.
Let's trust in our characters. Let's trust in our writers. You know, and I really like it. I appreciate it a lot. And so, you know, even the way they wrote, like we were saying earlier, but even the way they like set up a Cable and Deadpool in case we don't get a Hugh Jackman, I thought that was smart. You know, I wanted it in the Deadpool 2, but that they set it up, I was kind of like, oh, okay, maybe that's the next movie. I walked out thinking, oh, maybe the third movie is going to be a Cable and Deadpool movie. You know, only because I thought Hugh Jackman was done. You know,
Yeah.
so I thought the third installment would be Cable and Deadpool. It just seemed natural to me. You know, but I really like that. So even setting that up is kind of bold. You know what I mean? It's still kind of, those are bold moves. You know, so
even attempting that.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And that's one thing that I appreciate with the X-Men universe in general, because that's what I was saying about X-Men Wolverine, the Origins, or I mean 3 was really bad, but even Days of Future Past or you know, First Class, where like they're not the greatest superhero movies of all time. But again, when I was rewatching them recently, I was like, man, I appreciate these. Like, this is like, you know, they're like not trying to be formulaic. You know what I mean? Like, and I appreciate that. And yes, it causes continuity problems. There's continuity problems for sure. But like, but man, I really appreciate that they're just going for it. They go for it, you know, and not in a, you know, because one could say that they're doing that with like the Venom movies and Morbius. They're just going for it, but not really, because then when you watch those, like, it's all safe choices. I mean, even this new Venom, you know, I'm wearing the shirt and stuff. You know, I love Venom. Everyone loves Venom, but this new movie, it's like, what generic monster is the villain now? Like, I don't know. They just, who cares? That's what I'm saying. It's like, who cares? I don't want to see Venom fight another random monster. Like, what a weird bland choice. Another symbiote. Yeah, exactly. It's so weird. It's like so safe, you know what I mean? Like, to the point where it's like, dang, you're really staying inside the box. Jeez, okay. Like, wow, right. You know, they're afraid of not being liked, and it's like, no, then you're definitely not going to be liked if you don't make any sort of bold move, you know, like not anything, or your movie's not trying to say anything, or I don't know. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, even X-Men Wolverine Origins, like, it's bad. It's not good. But, you know, they went for it. They put Gambit in there. They, like, you know what I mean? Like,
they're throwing shit at a dartboard, seeing if anything stuck, and then they knocked over the dartboard.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, it's one of the worst. It's definitely one of the worst. But I'd probably put 3 worse. I'd probably put X3, Last Stand.
Yeah,
worse.
Probably. I mean, I was more upset watching X-Men 3. And with
that's what I'm saying.
Origins, I just was like laughing because it was like a fever dream, you know?
It's silly. Yeah, it's silly.
With Deadpool 2, I'm laughing also, but not for the same reason. I like the first film also more than this one. I think what I was talking to Angel about earlier was that Deadpool, the first film, really went the distance because of its direction by Tim Miller, along with Ryan Reynolds's personality. And I think this movie is surviving because of the Ryan Reynolds' personality more so than the direction. Because in the first Deadpool film, there's a real grounded quality to it that makes it work along with the heart. And they try to get that with this new one with Vanessa dying and, Deadpool trying to reconnect with people via the X-Men and Cable and everything. But for me, it was just kind of missing that rawness that the first one had. It's enjoyable to watch, but it's not for me as impactful as the first one. The first one really, the first one just cemented itself in my head because of how it balanced the vulgarity with the heart of it, and this, especially because of the post-credit scene, it felt like it just didn't really matter in the end, or that, like, whatever arc Deadpool got to, he reverts it because he goes back in time. Now, I'm willing to give it some slack now because they're incorporating the TVA into it. Right now, his actions at the end are going to have some consequences, which I'm cool with. But at the time when watching, I was a bit was a little. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was
Mhm.
fun, lots of fun, and there were great cameos, and I laughed a lot in it. But overall, I was just like, it's not as great as the first one.
We're gonna form a super duper fucking group. We need them tough, morally flexible, and young enough to carry their own franchise for 10 to 12 years. We will be known as X-Force.
Isn't that a little derivative?
You're absolutely right.
I agree. The first one was just it was way heavier, and amongst all the silliness, I thought Deadpool 2, not in a bad way. I don't mean this in a bad way, but like you said, I was more laughing a lot more. It was more funny. It was but Deadpool had those like heavy-hearted scenes. It had brevity to it, even as silly as it was. It had some, like you said, it had a certain, not Logan gritty. It wasn't Logan raw, but it was Deadpool raw. It was like it fit for him. And I think I don't even think they were trying to hit that in Deadpool 2 almost. You know what I mean? Like maybe to a certain extent, but it didn't seem like, I don't know. It seemed like they really went the hey, let's make people laugh this time. Like, let's make them really laugh, because I thought it was hilarious. That's funny, So but not in a bad way.
Felt
I
a little
wasn't
improv-y,
laughing at
right?
it. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that's what I mean. It was like, are these guys making the movie as they go? It's funny, but it's like, are they just like, they're just like, hey, I'm the character. Let's deliver some lines, see what catches. So I don't
Hey
know.
guys, you decide how the scene ends. You decide.
Yeah. Right. Dude, I heard TJ Miller's not gonna be back for the Deadpool.
Oh yeah.
Wolverine. Yeah.
It's funny because I saw an interview with him about that, and he's talking about it, and he has an excuse. I mean, he has his reasons for it.
Yeah.
But he was apparently being really just weird and just problematic on sets, and he wasn't invited back. But he was talking this whole game about like, well, maybe if there's a Weasel movie, I'll come back. Maybe if the money's right, I'll come back. But it's like, I
They don't
think
want you
it's gonna
back.
happen. It sounds like they don't want you back, bro. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, that's what it sounds like, dude. Because I heard that interview too, and as he's talking, giving his reasons, normally when someone gives their reasons, whether you agree to believe them or not, all you can go off is their word, right? So when you're listening to somebody, you go, oh yeah, especially like right now, let's say you work somewhere, right? And you have some grievances, and you're telling me a story, you're my friend, right? I'm gonna believe you. Like, your word is the only word I got. So if you're saying like, oh my goodness, like where I work is so crazy, and my boss is crazy, my coworkers, and I gotta deal with it, and and the way you explain it, I'll be like, I'll side with you, because that's really all, not even like in a bad way or a biased way, but it's really my only point of view, is the view that you just gave me. I don't work with you. And so, but it was funny because when I was listening to TJ Miller give his reasons, I was like, dude, I think it's your fault. Like, he's like making his case. There's no one arguing against him. And I still was like, nah, I think it's your fault, dude.
Yeah, you totally did this to yourself, buddy.
Yeah, you did. That's what I mean. I didn't side with him by the end of his paragraph, his little essay. I didn't side with him. I was like, it kind of, the way you're explaining it, kind of sounds like you're the problem. Like, what the heck, dude? So I don't know. Well, and who knows? I wasn't there, so I don't know. But the way he explained it, I was kind of like, it sounds like you just got butthurt for some like random crap, and now and then you started acting weird, and then now obviously everyone is like gonna be like, you're weird. Like, no one cares that much, and you're weird. And this is all the way he explained it.
Yeah, the way he explained it, it's like you didn't have to be there. You know exactly how it went down based on how he explained it. And it was the exact opposite of how he was explaining it.
Right. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Where I was like, wait, but what? Wait, what? This was all caused because they were kind of being weird on, you know what I mean? Like, even his excuse, like when the guy pressed him, but not pressed him, but was like, but wait, like, what did they actually do? And then he's like, well, they were just like weird to me. And I was like, that's not a thing. Like, is that a thing? I don't know. Like, I'm not in high school anymore. That's not a thing. Like, even if I was at work and they were being weird with me at work, so what? Like, who cares? What? That's why. So now I'm gonna start being really weird and make it worse. Oh, you acted weird and gave me a weird vibe. Now I'm gonna be a jerk. You know what I mean? Like, what? Wait, what? Like, you're not owed friendship. You know what I mean? Like, no one owes
or employment.
Yeah, or employment, dude. Yeah, exactly. Like, what are you talking? What are you talking about? I don't know. I did not side with him. I hated the excuse because I liked that dude. I think he's hilarious. And it's like, I was like, man, when I heard him talking about it, I was like, what? I like you. What the heck? Like, this sounds like it was your fault, bro. Like, you were too sensitive and you got butthurt. But, again, like I said, I wasn't there. And he won't be missed. Like, we're gonna have Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds doing their.
Would you rather have Weasel or Wolverine? You got to choose one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if I have to choose, but no, I'm just obviously it's Hugh Jackman. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't miss him. It would be cool to have him because he was funny, but I don't know. It was just it was an odd explanation that I didn't like side with really at the end of it. And it's just really odd because I was thinking the whole time as if my friend was telling me a story of them at work. That's how I was like picturing it when I was watching the podcast. And I was like, yeah, if my friend told me this, I would be like, dude, I think it's your fault. Like, sounds like it's you, dude. Like, that's what I would tell him.
How do I tell my friend that he did this to themselves?
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt. And I was bummed out, but oh
well,
we'll see.
Say la vie. He ain't gonna show up in Secret Wars.
No, we don't need him there. We don't need him.
It lives up to the hype, plus.
Fuck it, they probably won't even make a 3.
Yeah, why would they? Stop it too. You killed it.
Well, Daniel, we talked about the X-Men franchise, man. The later half of them. It was amazing.
Let's do it. Yeah, we did it.
We did it, man.
We did the damn thing.
This may be 3 parts, considering how long the recordings were, man.
Right.
It's crazy. So, Daniel, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you and Angel helped me out. I know that we're gonna see each other sooner before these videos come out because we're working on the thing, and it's really exciting. And yeah, man, this is fantastic. How excited are you for Deadpool and Wolverine?
I'm super amped. I'm amped on so many levels. It's really ridiculous. Like, I'm amped because it's Wolverine. Like, I'm amped because it's Hugh Jackman Wolverine. I'm amped because it's Ryan Reynolds Deadpool. I'm amped because it's a trilogy. It's a third. I'm amped because I'm going with all my homies and we're all huge fans. I'm amped for the implications that this movie is going to have on the MCU and like the rest of the Marvel movies. I'm so amped. I'm amped because of all those reasons. I'm amped because of the movie that we're working on, and all that stuff is just so crazy exciting. You know what I mean? So I'm amped on so many levels, like, yay, let's go.
Let's
go. Hell yeah. Yes. You're the best at what you do.
Oh my god. Yes, this thing.
That's so cool.
I'm excited.
Oh my goodness. That's so badass, dude. Hell yeah.
I'm so excited.
That is sick. Oh, I love that look. The freaking overhand. Yeah, dude. That's sick. Whoa.
Dude.
That's badass, bro. That's sick. You're gonna go in the Wolverine?
Oh no, dude, that thing is so. I'm gonna on the day of my friend's birthday. We're going to a horror convention, and then we're gonna go see the film afterwards. And I'm gonna wear it.
Hell yeah, that's gonna be sick. It's gonna be sick.
I need a whole team of people to put it on me.
Hell yeah. But it'll work.
God, it's crazy.
That's cool, man. That's so amped. That's sick.
All
So
right,
dope, man.
guys.
All right.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for
Get
having
ready
me.
for Deadpool and Wolverine. Daniel, thank you. Angel, thank you if you're watching and listening. Guys, please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll see you after the film comes out.
Peace.
Bye-bye.